Hi, good morning everyone. This is Shivprasad Yadav. Now, in today's presentation, I'll take something related to Shrenis, which are a group of business people in ancient India. But before going to this, we should discuss few things. Now, why we are supposed to focus on the things like the economy in ancient India, not only the economy which is related to medieval India and the economy which is there in British India and economy which is there after 1947. Because whatever the Indus Valley civilization or early Vedic period, latter Vedic period, Shodas Mahajanpadas concept is there, and even the Mauryans and the Guptas, that particular part or that particular period has done exceptionally well with respect to trade and commerce. So we are supposed to learn the things which are related to business in those days, banking activities in those days, trade and commerce in those days, because whatever the effort made by those people, it is actually not achieved by many civilization at that particular contemporary period. So that's why we are supposed to learn something related to the economy which is there in ancient times. Now, Indus Valley civilization, we know that there is huge levels of trade and commerce, and waterborne trade is there, external waterborne trade and internal waterborne trade is also there, and their commercial activities are huge. And for example, you take Lothal, not only single storied buildings, there you can see the evidences for multi storied buildings also. So if one storied building is there, it indicates that okay, something is going there and the people are earning something, their financial status is something like that. If three storied building is there, it indicates that they are doing the trade and commerce things exceptionally well. But unfortunately, we don't have any literary evidences or archaeological evidences to show that there is some banking activity in those days. But because till date we are completely unable to translate or decipher or decode whatever the term you take, we are completely in an unsuitable position to tell something about Indus Valley civilization banking activities, because they wrote something, we are unable to decipher it, we are unable to translate it, we are unable to decode it. That's why we cannot say anything exactly related to Indus Valley civilization. And in addition to that, we have one more confusion, the latest thing, the Sinoli, which is completely opposite. So, in this perspective, or in this discussion, we cannot or we are not allowed to say anything, any banking activity about the Indus Valley civilization. We can say something about whatever the things happened in Vedic period, because we have evidences, whether they are from inscriptions or Vedic part, or from after a particular point of time. We have the evidences from Buddhist literature also. We have Anguttara Nikaya, we have Devanikaya, we have Mahavamsa, we have Depavamsa. So many literary evidences are there from. We can say something about the economy part, or more precisely the banking part in this particular period, Vedic period or Mahajanpadas period or Mauryans or Guptas. So that's why I'm focusing more on Shrenis. Now, initially, who were they? Maximum, when we are reading about these people in historical perspective, they are just business people only, a group of business people. But they are not only business people, their activities are like quality control, taking some judicial decisions. So they have participated in judicial activities also. They are part of judiciary actually at particular point of time. And apart from business, trade and commerce. They participated in banking activities, social welfare activities, training the workmen, organizing trade and commerce. When we study something about, or when we read something about these people, Shrenis, uh, the initial impression is Shrenis were people who are engaged in business, and they are group of people, and each group is engaged in each a particular commodity. For example, a group of people are engaged in selling of rice, a group of people are engaged in pottery, a group of people are engaged in sugar, something like that. So a group doing a particular business is Shreni. If we see these people in history point of view, we limit ourselves to their activity is business only. But as they grew, because number of phases are there. For example, in phase 1, that is pre-Mauryan period, they started, it is the beginning of the Shrenis, they started expanding themselves. When the Mauryan period came, they were completely organized by the government, that is phase 2. In phase 3, post-Mauryan period, they expanded their business up to Roman Empire. Phase 4, Gupta period, and phase 5, post-Gupta period. So, they have started here and completely they were organized here, and they were expanded like anything. They did more and more and more business, and they participated in more number of activities. Finally, after post Gupta period, slowly the decline has started actually. So, whenever we are discussing about the Shrenis, we have to focus on two things. The first thing is what are their functions, and the second thing is their evolution. So, phase 1 is what, phase 2 is what, phase 3 is what, and phase 4 and phase 5. Phase 1 indicates okay, there are Shrenis, they are starting their business, they are establishing themselves. In phase 2, when the Mauryan period came, the Mauryans started to organize these Shrenis. More writing work, more accounts, how many goods were produced, how many goods were sold, how much income is coming from these Shrenis. And even these Mauryans have established separate production units outside the town also to encourage Shrenis. So in Mauryan period, the expansion is there. At the same time, the Shrenis were under complete control of the emperor. And when this Mauryan period was over, then they felt somewhat freedom or independence, and they started moving out of the boundary of the empire, and they expanded their business with the Romans. That's why after the Mauryans, they expanded like anything. This is very important in examination point of view. In which particular period Shrenis were expanded more and more and more, like even up to the Roman Empire? The answer is after Mauryans, post Mauryan period. So this one. Then when the business is expanding, when the income levels are more, it is obvious that more power will come. That power leads to participating in judicial activities. The king allowed them to participate in judicial activities. And then, as the more money, more power, more banking activities resulted in more banking activities, because whatever the respect for the Chinese community is there, whatever the faith or whatever the belief is there, it has increased from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. People started believing in these groups, and they started depositing their money with these people. In this period, they became bankers. In the beginning, they were actually business people, just business people. But as the phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, then the time passed slowly. They taking the whatever the activities are there, they are participating in more number of activities, they are taking the responsibility of more activities. Business people, then controlling the quality of the goods, that is quality control, then they participated in judicial activities, then people started depositing their money with these people, so banking activities. And for banking activities, actually we have a proof. Madura inscription we have, and we have Nasik inscription also. These two inscriptions are proofs for the banking activities of the Srenis, because a particular royal family has deposited something with these Srenis, and whatever the interest generated, generated interest was utilized in welfare activities. That was mentioned in Madura inscription and Nasik inscription. So Madura inscription and Nasik inscription were proofs for the banking activities of the Srenis. So to conclude, they controlled the quality of the products. They trained people for making products, and they participated in banking activities, judicial activities, and more importantly, whatever the trade and commerce are there, trade and commerce is there, they completely organized the trade and commerce. So when we discuss about Indian economy, it is important that we have to go through the economy in ancient India like this, because a people were there, group of people were there like Shrenis, followed by Sethis, and we have one more category also, Shresti. So other than Shrenis, we have Sethis, and other than Sethis, we have Shresti. So these three categories of people have played a huge role in producing the goods, in maintaining quality of the goods, that is nothing but quality control, in engaging trade and commerce. If any disputes were there in between two or more Shrenis, then judicial activities, then banking activities, whatever the excess money, surplus money is generated, they utilized that surplus money in social welfare activities, not only feeding the poor and destitute, they also constructed wells, and they also repaired existing roads, and they even looked after the temples also. So many activities were done by these people. So whenever this Shreni terms comes, don't focus on this single word, they are just business people or group of business people. They are everything actually. They maintain the quality of the goods. To maintain quality of the goods, quality people are required, trained people are required, so training, workshops, many things. And from one particular Buddhist literature book, it is clearly mentioned that in Varanasi, one particular Shreni used to have 400 pottery shops under his belt. Imagine 400 pottery shops means how much workmen are required, how big will be the production unit, and how big is the market. And imagine the burden on that particular Shreni, head of that Shreni. And however, we are discussing about the head of the Shreni. Head of this Shreni is called Zettaka. Jettaka. Zettaka. Remember this word. Maybe this is important in examination point of view. If not in civil services, it may be useful in other exams also. So head of the Shreni is Jettaka. Imagine if a particular Jettaka is taking so much burden on him, like quality control, handling disputes, taking care of banking, taking care of calculating interest, participating in welfare activities, and taking care of training of the workmen, and organizing huge workshops. So it is a very huge burden on Zettaka. So Zettaka, as I told you, he is the head of the Shreni. So This much is there with respect to Shrenis actually, and there are so many things which are there in Vedic literature, and afterwards whatever the literature is there and some inscriptions also, there are a number of points, but all those points are not important in examination point of view. For example, Prasenajit was requested by some other king to send some Shresti to his kingdom or his empire. That particular party is there. That is historical perspective only to tell something about Shresti. So that is not important in pure economy or pure banking point of view. And Sethis were the people who used to represent Srenis at the court of the king. So these were politically supported by these people, Sethis. So Srenis and Sethis will go hand in hand, and Shresti is completely different thing. For example, number of Srenis will be there in a town. All those Srenis were headed by this Shresti, and this Shresti has to be there with the king only at the court of the king. So these are the things. He is the one who represented the Shrenis at the court. He is the one who is the head of the all Shrenis. That is Shresti. And in Vedic literature, there are number of terms which are synonymous to Shrenis, but that is also not important. If you are while reading any other book, if you come across those points, just read it and keep it aside. But in examination point of view, these are the things and this is the thing. Once again, I'm repeating the thing. What are the activities of Shrenis? They are business people. They used to control the quality of the goods. They trained the people. They sorted out their judicial disputes or they participated in judicial activities. Moreover, they participated in banking activities. They acted like bankers. They completely organized trade and commerce in a large scale and five phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And among all these phases, phase 3 is very important because whatever the trade and commerce is there, it has expanded like anything. It is because of lack of presence of Mauryans. In one phase, they controlled everything. In another phase, Shrenis were freed like anything. They got some independence, they got some freedom, and they did business in an expanded way. That's why they reached up to Roman Empire and they did a very good business with the Romans. So this is all about Shrenis, and I have made a list of questions based on this one. So try to answer all those questions based on this one. Almost all questions I have answered in this session. So after this class, try to answer those questions. Thank you.